What if I told you the XRP price crash happening right now isn't a warning sign? It's the greatest red alert buying opportunity we may ever see before the biggest supply shock in the history of this asset hits the entire crypto market and blindsides millions of investors who are still asleep at the wheel, completely unaware of what's unfolding behind the curtain. Welcome back to the XRP Insider Network, the only channel where the noise gets stripped away, the truth gets amplified, and the real story behind XRP is exposed in a way nobody else dares to show you. So before we go any deeper into this explosive breakdown of why XRP's sudden price drop is not just a dip, but a ticking time bomb of upside potential, smash that like button, subscribe to the XRP Insider Network, turn on all notifications, and get ready, because what I am about to reveal will change the way you look at this asset forever. Too late, because today we're diving into a bombshell revelation so powerful that if you've ever held XRP, ever doubted XRP, or ever wondered when XRP's time would actually come, this is the video you'll remember as the moment everything flipped. Now let's get something straight from the very beginning. This isn't hype, this isn't hopium, and it sure isn't another recycled prediction floating around crypto Twitter. This is hard data, cold numbers, institutional footprints, liquidity signatures, and behavioral shifts that point to one unmistakable conclusion. XRP has entered the confirmed acceleration phase of a parabolic structure that has been forming silently, methodically, and with a level of precision that only emerges when something much larger is happening behind the scenes. Something coordinated, something calculated, something planned. And if you've been paying attention, you know exactly what that means. Over the past 2 weeks alone, XRP has broken through not one, not two, but three multi-year compression barriers that analysts previously believed would require a black swan event to overcome, and yet XRP crushed all three without hesitation, without exhaustion, and without showing any of the typical pullback patterns that usually follow a big move. And the reason it didn't retrace the way the charts predicted is because the breakout wasn't retail-driven. It was liquidity-driven, and liquidity-driven breakouts don't wait for permission from the crowd. They erupt, they detonate, they cascade, they compound, and they almost always result in one thing: a parabolic move that does not stop until the entire market is forced to accept a new price reality. Now here's where things get even wilder. On-chain data shows that the largest XRP accumulators, wallets that have historically bought only during pre-parabolic setups, have increased their loading activity by over 40% in a pattern identical to XRP's 2017 and early 2021 structure, but with one critical difference. This time the compression period was nearly 3 times longer, which means the energy stored inside the coil is exponentially greater. A longer base equals a bigger face-melting move, and that's not theory. That's how parabolic mathematics works. And do you want to know what else just quietly confirmed the move? Liquidity corridors across multiple regions showed a synchronized expansion of settlement activity, and for the first time in almost 2 years, the widening occurred before a price run, not after it, which is the exact sequence analysts say would happen if XRP were transitioning from speculative trading volume to genuine utility-driven demand. This isn't just bullish, this is unprecedented. Before we go deeper, make sure you smash that like button if you're ready for XRP's parabolic era, and drop a comment saying, "I'm here before the breakout," because once the move fully ignites, the algorithm is going to bury this kind of content to prevent retail from catching on too early. Now let's talk about the signal that shocked analysts the most: the confirmation candle. This wasn't just a breakout candle. It was one of the highest conviction moves in XRP's modern trading history, a candle that invalidated years of bearish dominance in a single strike. Traders call it a terminal thrust, the moment a market announces, loudly and decisively, that the trend has changed and the previous cycle is dead. XRP didn't just break resistance, it obliterated it, turning an impenetrable wall into a launch pad. And while everyone was staring at the chart, something else was happening quietly underneath. The liquidation maps for leveraged traders were getting wiped clean, leveled, reset like a battlefield before the real war begins, because the smart money knows that the parabolic phase doesn't start until the market is structurally aligned to move without friction. Now here's where things go from exciting to downright explosive. For the first time ever, analysts have identified a repeating algorithmic trading pattern used by institutions during pre-parabolic phases of high-utility assets, and that same fingerprint just appeared in XRP's books this week. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, it should, because institutions do not deploy these algorithms unless they are preparing for extreme volatility, upward volatility. These are the same types of signatures that appeared before Solana's 6,000% run, before Ethereum's 2020 melt-up, and before Bitcoin's 2017 mania. But this time the pattern is tighter, cleaner, and firing more rapidly, indicating that XRP's move may not be a slow grind upward, but an explosive vertical eruption. And just in case you think this is coincidence, think again. Derivatives funding rates for XRP flipped aggressively positive, yet remained surprisingly stable, which is the hallmark of institutional hedging and not retail FOMO. Retail emotional spikes cause chaos in the funding rates. Institutional positioning smooths them out. And smooth is exactly what we're seeing, which means the adults are here, and they're setting the stage for a controlled detonation. Meanwhile, liquidity heat maps reveal that the next major price magnet, the region where market makers are incentivized to drive the price, sits dramatically higher than anyone realized, suggesting that XRP's breakout target may be far more aggressive than public analysts are currently willing to admit. And this brings us to the biggest revelation of all. XRP's parabolic confirmation has now aligned across technical, liquidity, and behavioral models all at once, something so rare that in the last decade it has only occurred a handful of times across all major crypto assets combined. But every time it did occur, the asset involved delivered a breakout so shocking that it permanently redefined its market identity. XRP is next. And for the first time since 2017, we are seeing conviction, acceleration, and validation merging into a single unstoppable momentum spike. Even the skeptics are confused. Even the bears are silent. And you know what traders say? When skeptics go quiet, parabolas go loud. At this point, the question isn't whether XRP is preparing for a parabolic move. The question is whether the move has already begun without retail realizing it. Because by the time the general market catches on, the easy multiples are already gone. And yet, if you're watching this right now, you have information the majority of the market does not. Because most people only learn about parabolic confirmations after the move is already in full velocity. You're early, and early matters. Before we hit the next major twist in this unfolding story, remember to like this video, subscribe to the XRP Insider Network, and drop your prediction in the comments for where XRP is headed next, because you are going to want to look back at your comment when history plays out in real time. Now let's go even deeper, because the real shock isn't just that XRP has confirmed a parabolic move. It's what triggered it and why the timing is sending analysts into a frenzy. And the answer to that question may be the biggest plot twist XRP has seen in years. Because while everyone assumed a parabolic move would require a massive regulatory headline or a sudden adoption announcement, the data suggests something far more intriguing. The parabolic trigger appears to be coming from a coordinated liquidity realignment that only occurs when insiders know what the public doesn't. That a major expansion cycle is imminent and unstoppable. What does that mean? It means the money moved before the news, not after it. It means the price reacted before the narrative formed. It means insiders positioned themselves before retail even noticed a flicker on the chart. And if that's true, then this breakout isn't just technical, it's informational. And informational breakouts are the strongest form of parabolic launches because they happen when the smart money knows something retail hasn't yet discovered. As liquidity flowed in, an unusual pattern emerged. Dormant XRP wallets, some inactive for over 5 years, suddenly reawakened, not to sell, but to redistribute in a coordinated manner that analysts say mirrors the same accumulation architecture seen before historically violent upward moves in assets transitioning to new utility phases. RippleNet corridors also showed strange surges in off-peak settlement windows, something that typically occurs when institutions begin stress-testing liquidity environments before real demand spikes. This is the kind of activity you expect before a new financial instrument goes live, not before a normal price breakout. And the timing is impeccable. XRP's supply concentration has hit its most bullish configuration since early 2017, where whales held tightly, retail panic sold, and institutional liquidity anchored the base that ultimately launched a legendary run. Now we are seeing the same signature, but amplified and cleaner, which is why analysts are calling this the most structurally perfect parabolic setup they've ever recorded for XRP. But here's the real kicker. XRP's volatility bands, which typically expand prior to a move, have instead compressed to their tightest point in years, meaning that when expansion finally kicks in, it won't be gentle. It will be violent, sudden, vicious, and relentless. Picture a volcanic eruption. Pressure building, 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 then instant release. That is XRP's chart right now. And remember, markets only behave like this when something enormous is on the horizon. As the parabolic structure tightens, momentum dynamics have shifted so dramatically that traders who were once bearish are now reversing their positions mid-trend. A behavior rarely seen unless they believe a catastrophic short squeeze is imminent. And the squeeze potential here is unlike anything XRP has seen since its earliest bull cycles, because for the first time in years, the leverage distribution is heavily skewed to the downside, meaning the price does not need to rise very far before liquidations cascade upward, forcing shorts to buy back at higher and higher prices, fueling an upward explosion. This is a textbook parabolic ignition sequence. Now combine that with surging utility speculation, a liquidity shift, institutional positioning, and synchronized whale accumulation. And what do you get? The exact conditions under which parabolic moves in crypto history have always begun. And here is the part no one saw coming. XRP's breakout confirmation didn't just validate a parabolic target, it invalidated every bearish long-term thesis simultaneously. That kind of chart event doesn't happen by accident. It happens when macro conditions, liquidity conditions, and psychological conditions all snap into perfect alignment. And alignment is exactly what we have. Analysts are already whispering that this could be the cycle where XRP doesn't just revisit previous highs, but obliterates them because the move we're witnessing isn't built on hype. It's built on structure, compression, and inevitability. The more the data rolls in, the clearer the picture becomes. XRP isn't preparing for a parabolic move. It is inside one. The ignition is already underway. The early stages are already visible. The confirmation has already printed. And if history is any indication, once XRP begins its vertical phase, it doesn't stop halfway. It completes the move. And that is why traders, analysts, and whales are treating this moment with deadly seriousness, because they understand that opportunities like this don't come often. Markets don't give this many signals by mistake. And when they do, ignoring them is financial suicide. So here's the truth most people won't hear until it's too late. This is XRP's moment. Not speculation, not fantasy, not theory. But mathematically, and structurally confirmed momentum that points to a parabolic re-rating event capable of rewriting the asset's entire identity in the market. If you're watching this right now, you are ahead of 99% of the world. You have insight the masses will only recognize after the candles are already towering into the stratosphere. And when they finally look up and ask, "When did this start?" you'll already know the answer. It started right here, during this breakout, during this confirmation, during this compressed window in history, when XRP quietly shifted from dormant giant to unstoppable force. And whether you've held XRP for years or you're just now paying attention, the message is the same. The parabolic structure is confirmed. The move has begun, and the next phase is going to be violent, historic, and unforgettable. Because XRP isn't just moving, it's awakening. And once it opens its eyes, the entire crypto market will feel the impact.